Husky fans, welcome into episode number 4 of NIU Weekly. I'm Andy Garcia. Glad you could join us. And we're going to have a lot going on this week. We're going to talk about what the week was last week, getting ready for this week in NIU athletics. Today's show, we're going to start with basketball coming up. We got football. They're getting ready for conference play. Thomas Hammock's going to join us, as he always does. Thomas is going to talk about getting ready now for Ball State coming up. Huskies coming off that non-conference part of the schedule, played really well at Kentucky. Good game, just came up a little bit short, but now it's NIU and Ball State coming up this Saturday. But we're going to talk some basketball. Lisa Carlsen is going to join us this week on the show. Sean Burno is going to be on next week. Lisa's on this week. We're going to talk a little women's hoops as Lisa starts her 9th season at the helm of women's basketball here at NIU. So a really fun show coming up. Hey, let's talk about some of the performances from last week with NIU athletics, and some teams racked up some Player of the Week awards. First, for NIU volleyball, Charlie Atiema was tabbed MAC West Offensive Player of the Week after leading NIU in a pair of wins as they beat Akron. The Red Hot Huskies getting ready for a matchup coming up this weekend at Buffalo. So hopefully Huskies can continue the winning ways and get some wins at Buffalo. But Charlie Atiema really playing well, MAC West Offensive Player of the Week. How about football? Tom Foley, Special Teams Player of the Week. Dave and David Rayner, Defensive Player of the Week in the MAC West. We're going to talk to Thomas Hammock about that, but Tom Foley and David Rayner, congratulations, MAC West Players of the Week. How about women's soccer? They earned its first MAC win with a 2-0 win at Toledo last week for their 4th win of the year as goalkeeper Dayton Waymer collected 6 saves in the shutout. Huskies play at Ball State on Thursday and return home Sunday to take on Central Michigan at 1 p.m. at the NIU Track and Soccer Complex. We got some nice awards this week. And don't forget, Husky men's soccer, they face a test Wednesday, Wisconsin, before traveling to Akron for a rare Sunday night contest. That one will be on ESPN+. Now, NIU football, done with the non-conference games, getting ready for conference play, taking on Ball State this Saturday as we are joined by head coach Thomas Hammock. And coach, gone through 4 games, a third of the season now. What has your team learned about themselves so far through 4 games?
Well, I think the big thing we learned is, we're a couple plays away each game from being the type of team we want to be. And I think, that should give us great confidence as we get going into the MAC to say we have to be prepared, have attention to detail, and focus each and every single play to give ourselves a chance to win.
Talk about the depth, and we talked about it in the preseason, Thomas, the depth of your program. It's been tested and tested and tested again, but guys have stepped up and played in some big-time situations, some big-time positions with the depth being shown. And we talked about it, Thomas. It's going to come down to which team has that type of depth. Your team has shown that so far.
Last week we traveled 80 people. In conference, you can only travel 70. So we have tremendous depth in our team, and we have confidence in these guys and their ability to play. I was 5 years in the National Football League. You have to get the next man ready to play all the time. And so we have a long-term vision with the staff. These are things that we talked about, decisions that we talked about from an evaluation standpoint, from a talent standpoint. We got guys ready to play. And so we have no fear. I know maybe fans and other people may say, hey, this guy is down, this guy. That we have no fear in our program of the next man up mentality. And today's practice was phenomenal. Guys stepping up, making plays, being physical. There's something about young players. They just got energy and urgency, and they want to be great. And I think that stuff is infectious for our team. And I'm excited to watch guys play.
I think it helps too, Thomas, when they know they're only a play away from getting into a game and maybe playing the rest of the year. And you've had that mentality, like, if you're going to practice well, you're going to show me something, you're going to get out there and play. And we've seen that again this year.
And we constantly evaluate the compete team. I'm on my coaches all the time. Make sure you're watching the compete team video. Make sure you're showing those players what they're doing, how they're doing it. Is it to the standard that can get them ready to play? And so, that's something that is program-wide. Our players understand it. A guy like Jake Gassaway played well on the compete team the last 3 or 4 weeks, and he played special teams against Kentucky. Yeah. We got guys that can step up and play, and they're prepared, and they'll be ready when their number's called.
Thomas, I was impressed with the game at Kentucky last week. Again, we talked about the depth that your team's shown. but there wasn't a lot of flinching. The crowd was huge and it was loud, Thomas. But it seemed like the offensive defense, they're one of those penalties, those false starts are out of place, Thomas. And sometimes you can see that not just with a young team, but being on the road like that. We didn't see a lot of that from your program last week.
Yeah, they handled the environment exceptionally,
Yeah.
and couldn't be more proud of them. Obviously, we know we get in these conference games, it won't be that type of environment. So now you can't have less focus; you need to have more focus, right? Because what a great opportunity these guys have to play and go compete, and we obviously know this is a tough conference, and we got a big one this week.
Let's talk about players of the week. We'll first start with David Rayner. Sophomore was Mac West Defensive Player of the Week. 10 tackles total, some solo tackles, got a sack, 1 of 5 for the defense. What have you liked about Rayner, especially since he was Mac West Defensive Player of the Week?
Yeah, he's been getting better and better each week. The first game of the season, he had a bunch of tackles, but he really missed a lot of assignments. And every week, his play has gotten cleaner and cleaner with his eye discipline, with his hat placement, with his hand placement. All those things are getting cleaner and cleaner. And you may not have 13 tackles, but having 10 tackles and doing the right thing all the time makes our defense better. And he's the guy that should be competing to be the defensive player of the year. I mean, he can have that type of season and that type of production, but he got to continue to play clean football.
So you got that award for David Rayner, and then special teams, Mac West Special Teams Player of the Week was Tom Foley. Really his best game I've thought so far, Thomas, of the season. 3 of the 5 punts he had made the Kentucky Wildcats start inside their own 20. The 2-yard line kick, the 61-yard punt was fantastic. You need that, and we've seen that in practice. We know we can kick like that. I was glad to see his best game against Kentucky and getting that award.
Well, Tom has a big leg, and we had to work on his consistency. And so the more consistent he can become, the better he'll be. And I think, he's starting to gain some confidence. We have confidence in him. And now it's about going out there and being the same guy each and every single week. But he is a weapon for us that can certainly flip the field.
Your defense continues to get pressure on the quarterback, Thomas. So we saw more sacks, 5 sacks against Kentucky. You've asked them, they put more pressure. That D-line, get in there. What have you liked about that defensive line, your defense, getting more pressure, getting more into the backfield?
Our defensive line is starting to play at a high level. When you start saying D tackles getting seven tackles, 5 tackles, 4 tackles, I mean, that's affecting the game. And we felt like going into the season, our D-line would be the strength. They're starting to play like it and impose their will. And we're going to continue to need those type of performances as the season goes along. And I think they are starting to, when you have a good defense, it's normally because the defensive line hold guys accountable and not many people challenge them. And so that's what they're starting to take over. And they're starting to play that way, and everybody else needs to fall in line.
And it was another game last week versus Kentucky. You won the turnover battle. I know that's going to be big moving forward. You talk about it a lot, getting turnovers. Your defense has done that so far this season.
Yeah, I mean, we got more turnovers and more sacks, and that was against a quality opponent. Our offense is doing a nice job not giving the ball away. So those things help you play complementary football. And the better that we can play in those type of situations, the better we'll be as a football team. And I think, our defense has the ability to continue to make jumps.
Yep.
And what I saw on the practice field today gets me excited about the direction that they're headed.
Talking about your offense and quarterback Ethan Hampton, it just seems like his confidence has really grown the last 2 weeks and really showed a lot of confidence playing that top 10 team last week.
Yeah, I mean, he's a guy that every game rep is getting him better, and you can see that his command, his confidence in himself, getting guys lined up, operating the offense, that's only going to help his long-term development as a quarterback. And I couldn't be more excited about him. The guys around him have confidence in him. And obviously he has a big arm. The arm has never been a question, but it's getting those game reps to go out there and compete, and he's shown he can do that.
How important was it for you to see Justin Lynch get out there, get some playing time, and be successful?
Yeah, no, he's a guy. He's a weapon, and we got to make sure we use him. Obviously, he is a quarterback, so we're going to start throwing some passes. I think, he played all last season, at Temple, and he was the quarterback. So, he's just not a guy that's just coming in there to run the ball.
Right.
So we got some things schemed up for him where he can have an opportunity to do some things and take advantage of the defense. And excited about him, his development. I thought he handled that environment well. And obviously we need to, continue to look for ways to get him more involved.
Thomas, when I look at your rushing game, Harrison Whaling's averaging 4 yards a carry. Antonio Brown, 5 yards a carry. Mason Blakemore, 4 yards a carry. So I think the yardage is getting there. Is it just not we're seeing enough of those carries, Thomas, being successful?
Yeah, you know what? Last week was a short game. We didn't have very many snaps. I mean, we got to try to get, 10 to 15 more snaps per game. And I think that's going to give us the type of production that we want. And once, we got to keep chipping away with the run game up front and tight end wise and running back wise. And when it explodes, it's gonna take off because we have the talent in the backfield. They just got to stay committed, keep grinding, and understand that hey, we're one play away from this thing breaking open. And I'm excited to watch him play.
Let's talk about Ball State. Their quarterback John Paddock, Mac West, Offensive Player of the Week, threw for about 388 yards. They've got a good run game in Carson Steele. What impresses you about the Cardinals?
Well, obviously, the quarterback is really, really good. He's going to get the ball out quick, not going to take sacks, very smart. They understand what, their schemes, what people are trying to do against them. They obviously got some wide receivers he's comfortable with. And then the running back is a downhill runner who's very, very physical. And the guy that we got to gang tackle him. And so this is a good football team. Even obviously their record is the same as ours, but your record is not indicative of the type of team that you are. When you watch the tape, we're going to have to be physical and bring it every single snap for 60 minutes this week.
Special teams was such a big part of this game last year, Thomas, and we know it's going to be another big part of this one. Talk about the Bronze Stock and playing for a trophy. It's not many trophy games you have. So when you have an opportunity to take on Ball State and have this type of trophy and have a chance to retain it, hearing from the players this week, Thomas, it seems like that's part of it. Hey, we like getting up for these trophy games. We don't want that trophy going anywhere. Yeah,
no, I think, my first year here, I'm not sure there was an appreciation for the trophy as far as they had it for a long time. But it's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. So, I want our players to understand, that trophy signifies you won a game. And if they understand that, then obviously they want to keep it. And we got a great challenge this week, but we're going to be excited. It's just something about the MAC, maybe because I played in this conference, but I love getting on the bus and taking a road trip and, unwinding for a little bit, and you get there and you go play. And so, I love this conference. I love the competition. And obviously Ball State is a big game for us.
And Thomas, to wrap things up as we start conference play, it doesn't seem like this team is wavering in confidence. Again, talking to players this week, it seems like, hey, we're ready. We've been ready. We're ready to get back at it. And it just seems like this is a perfect time to start playing your best football, finishing plays, finishing games, playing 4 quarters, starting this week.
This week we really went back to the standards. Well, what are our standards? A practice for preparation, and just keep it about that. And don't worry about the results of games. Because if you start banking your emotional well-being on the result of a game, it's gonna be like a roller coaster. So we went back to the standards and expectations of what we want from a program, and that keeps you grounded. When you have consistency in your life, then you can be the same person every day. And I think I love the way our guys attacked Monday night, Tuesday morning. These guys they make me feel confident with the way they went out to practice today. And my coaching staff did a phenomenal job getting them ready to practice and prepare. And I can't be more happy about where we're at. And obviously, all you can do is do the best you can during the week, and then you live with the results.
Thomas, I appreciate the time. Good luck on Saturday. I'll see you on the sidelines.
Appreciate it. Go Huskies.
Well, as football gets ready to get into conference play, women's basketball is just getting underway with practice this week as we now bring in Lisa Carlsen. 8th season as a head coach. Me and you together 8 years now, Lisa. Does it seem that long?
Oh, I feel like that's a trick question. Yes, I think it's been a wonderful 7 years. Ready for year 8, Andy. Can't wait.
Well, you started practice this week, Coach, but you've been having individuals. You've been with the team a little bit separate and in some other practices. So how much did that help you? And now that you're together as a team, you've been able to at least have some individuals and have the team come together a little bit.
Yeah, I think we've had a great summer, a great preseason. Nothing beats the first day of real practice when you feel like you have an extended amount of time that you can really work on some things. But you can jump right into practice because, like you mentioned, we've had some abbreviated practices, some individual workouts really for the last few months. So I think it primes us so that we can jump right in and get ready to go.
So tell me about the roster. We got some newcomers, we got some transfers. So it kind of just blends in. Tell me a little bit about the roster this year.
Well, I think it's a great combination of experience, some really critical newcomers coming in that I think can help us right away. I think all of our young players have gotten a ton better. So, usually that's a formula for success. We've tried to stay as experienced as possible around some key veterans that we have on the roster, and I think we were able to accomplish that. Anybody looks at our roster, I think, is going to see the return of Asia Davis, the return of Shelby Coker, the return of John A. Poison, 3 All-MAC performers from last year. And then, like I mentioned, being able to put critical pieces around them to hopefully stay as seasoned as possible.
Tell me who's gotten better in the offseason. I know Lauren Nichols had a nice offseason. Who else has gotten better in this offseason so far?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I'm really happy with the progress of our entire roster. But you mentioned, I think Laura has taken great strides. We'll shift her position a little bit, have her play more on the perimeter for us this year, less at the power forward position where she's a little undersized. I think she'll be a lot more comfortable at that swing position and the small forward. I think Mariah Pruitt, I think Sydney McCrae, I think, what Jaden was able to have experience-wise the end of last year when Shelby went down has really put her in a great position to continue to get better and be really effective on the floor for us. So I think especially those 4 that I mentioned have really taken strides to become a lot better basketball players.
Yeah, everyone wants to hear how Shelby Coker's doing. I know looking good to be back for the start of the season. She's chomping at the bit. I know she wants to get back out there.
In true Shelby form, she was really diligent in her rehab, did a tremendous job of working extremely hard to put herself in position to be ready for this season. A lot of times we say with Shelby, we have to protect her from herself. She's absolutely ready to go. She looks like she did before the knee injury. We're going to have to just be a little bit careful with her, make sure she's really ready to go as far as minutes played, maybe early in the season. But I'm optimistic that she looks like she hadn't missed a beat.
Yeah, it's great to hear. Asia Davis coming off first team All-MAC last season. Where can she improve? What do you want to see from her this season?
Well, I think the most important thing for Asia is we put really good, effective players around her because as we saw throughout the conference season last year, there were very few teams that didn't throw the double team at her. She handled it extremely well. She's a great passer from her position, which is critical when she draws so much attention. I think we've been able to upgrade our talent and hopefully put more people around her that can stretch the defense. I think hopefully that will make things a little bit easier for her, but she's not going to surprise anybody. She's not going to sneak up on anybody this year. So the more situations we can put her in practice and prepare her for that, I think the better off that we'll be and the better off that she will be.
Tell me about the newcomers, Tatiana and Courtney, Terra, Emma, some of those, just Brooke. What can the newcomers bring to this line?
Well, we have 5 newcomers and 4 of them are transfers. So coming in as with an understanding of collegiate basketball and what it takes at a really high level. Emma Carter comes in as a graduate transfer, had great success at Franklin Pierce. And I think the thing about Emma is she's a really smart player and again understands so many things on both sides of the basketball that she's just going to add some stability for us at primarily that 4 position where Michaela Brandon played a majority of those minutes. I think she's great from a leadership standpoint. She's a tremendous teammate. So I've been really, really happy with her insertion into this roster. Another player that will play a bulk of her minutes at the forward position will be Terra Stocker. Played last year at the University of Wisconsin. Again, played a lot for the Badgers, really athletic, super hard worker. Those two will really fill a bulk of the minutes at the 4 position for us. Courtney Drake and Tatiana Hodges, both coming off of a national championship at the junior college level. So they understand winning. You know, Courtney's somebody who shot the 3 at a really high level throughout her junior college career, continues to show that in practice. And Tati is somebody who can do a lot of different things for us at the guard position. She will primarily play probably at the backup point guard position, but she can play off the ball as well. Really good defender, again, smart player. So I think all 4 of those transfers have an opportunity in some way, shape, or form to step in and help us. And then our only freshman, Brooke Blumenfeld, although she may not see a ton of time this year, I really think is a post player for the future for us. Gets better on a day-to-day basis and has a lot of intangibles that are going to really make her effective at this level.
Coach, one thing, and we talk a lot about depth, having depth on your squad. It seems like you had that. Also, you got more length to me. It just seems like you got some length in this roster this season.
Yeah, both things that we thought were critical in the offseason. You know, we talk about all the time, Andy. It's so critical that we have, 15 players available for us to utilize when we get closer and closer to games. Because if that is the case, our depth will absolutely be a factor in something that we haven't necessarily had a ton of. And really depth at all positions, which is great. If you look at the new players that we have coming in, you're right, we did add some length, both Emma, Terra, and Brooke, especially at the forward position, really add some length for us. And I think an athletic length, which is really critical as well.
And experience, and you talked about Jaden Marable, getting that experience when Shelby went out with the injury. That's going to help her. It just seems like, too, that this roster, it's got some experience to it as well.
No doubt. And again, that we talked about trying to stay experienced around the veterans that we had coming back. And I think we were able to accomplish that via the transfer portal, the junior college ranks, like I mentioned. That was intentional, and at least at this point has seemed to be a really critical piece as we get ready for game time.
Coach, these first 1 or 2 weeks when you get into practice like this, what are you trying to do? Are you getting the offense ready? Are you putting in place? At this point into practice, the first week, what are you wanting to do with the team?
Well, I think a little bit of all of that. Like you mentioned, we've been able to have some abbreviated practices really in the last few months. And so we feel like we can really jump into practice and start with some installation things and really just letting the players kind of get their basketball legs. There's nothing like getting into basketball shape except playing basketball. And so now being able to extend practice time to 2 or 2.5 hours and really letting them get in basketball shape as we start to install things on both ends of the basketball is critical. But it's full go, and I'm excited. It's been, although a short week, it's been really fun so far.
What are we, 5 weeks away from the start of the season? Is that what we're at now?
Yeah, it sounds about right. About 40 days.
And nothing changes with you, right? Still up and down. We're still going to see a lot of threes. You want to get as many possessions as you can?
Yeah, I think we have the chance to be a really good perimeter shooting team, especially with the gravity that Asia has and people having to game plan for her. We want her to have touches for sure. And so there'll be times that we're a little bit more intentional about making sure that she has touches. But, any misses, any turnovers, we're going to be off to the races and hoping to find threes, especially in transition.
Hey, looking forward to Tuesday, October 11th, Coffee with Carlson. First one of the season. I get to host it this year. I'm excited. Noon at Verandas in DeKalb. What can we expect from Coffee with Carlson this year?
Well, I think the great thing about that program is we get a chance to talk some basketball, but we also get the opportunity to hear from some of our student athletes. And we also get the opportunity to have our other women's head coaches of their sport programs here at NIU talk a little bit about their seasons, whether they're in it or it's upcoming. And so I think from a women's sports standpoint, it's a great event for a lot of people who are fans of many programs.
Yeah, first one's coming up Tuesday, October 11th at Verandas at noon in DeKalb. Can't wait to be a part of it. And looking forward to this season, Coach. I know it's going to be a lot of fun getting Shelby back and having that depth and the experience we talk about. Looking forward to it. Have fun with the start of practice, and I know we're going to talk soon.
All right. Thanks, Andy. Appreciate it.
Always great hearing from Lisa Carlsen as we get ready for women's basketball. Don't forget, we're going to talk to Rashawn Burno next week right here on NIU Weekly. Get the men's side practice getting underway. Looking forward to it. Hopefully it's going to be a fun year on the court in the Convocation Center for NIU men's and women's basketball. Also want to talk about, as we talked with Lisa, the Coffee with Carlson's coming up, a lunch event, Tuesday, October 11th, the first one at Verandas in DeKalb. And then October 27th, see the men's and women's teams at Huskie Madness. That's going to be a preseason event. That's going to come up on October 27th. Hope you can join us for that event. Of course, next week, we all want you to be at the big football home game, homecoming game, taking on Toledo in DeKalb. That game on October 8th. Kickoff is at 2:30, but there's much more than football that weekend as NIU celebrates its 115th homecoming on campus. It's going to be a lot of fun. Now, there are events all week that will lead up to the game, and you can find those at niu.edu. But in addition to the football game, there are two that I want to highlight. Okay? Two big events that I want to highlight for you. Both are open to the public. First, on Friday night, October 7th, we have the NIU Hall of Fame induction ceremony at the Holmes Student Center. This is a free event open to the public. Please go online, niuhuskies.com, and register. This is a great class. Chandler Harnish, Chad Spann, Thomas Hammock of football. We've got volleyball's Kristen Hoffman and Amy Folk, baseball player Scott Simon, administrator Robert Collins, and many, many more. 13 in all getting inducted on Friday night, October 7th. Come out and see them, go over some memories. The reception is at 5 p.m. and the program is at 6 p.m. in the Duke Ellington Ballroom. Again, that is Friday night, October 7th, the NIU Hall of Fame induction ceremony. Then on Sunday, after the football game, wrap up homecoming as NIU celebrates the 50th anniversary of Title IX with a special brunch and panel discussion at the NIU Convocation Center. Women student athletes from all NIU teams across the years have been invited back. Current women's student athletes will be there, and the panel will feature former NIU athletic director Carrie Groth. Carrie is coming back to campus. Current Huskie head coaches, new Hall of Fame inductee Kristen Hoffman will be there as well, and several others. It's going to be a great celebration, and you can be there for just $15. Again, get the link, sign up online, niuhuskies.com. That is Sunday after the game. So the Sunday will be the brunch for the 50th anniversary of Title IX with this special brunch. Don't forget to get those football tickets for homecoming. We need that same energy. We need that same crowd on October 8th that we've seen the first two home games. It's going to be a fun one. Homecoming game, NIU taking on Toledo. Hopefully football can get a big win at Ball State this Saturday. Some other programs can get some wins as well. We'll wrap it up and talk about the upcoming week coming up next week on NIU Weekly. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like this page. We'll be back next week with another edition of NIU Weekly. Until then, go Huskies.